So some of the assumptions I'm going to make is that you've saved and invested well. Check. Now another assumption is that you have 2 kids. I don't know how many kids you have. If I did, that'd be weird. But I'm going to assume that you have 2 kids and that you want to fund both of their wedding goals. Now let's assume that that's $50,000 each. You might be hearing that going, whoa, that's way more than I want to spend. You might be hearing that go, whoa, that just gets me the basics, Ari. I want to have a nice, extravagant wedding. Well, if that's you and you want to spend $100,000, $200,000, I have a client who spent $250,000 on a wedding, by the way, and I advise them to do that. Many people think financial planners just tell people, just save, just invest more. No. That's the opposite. The goal here is not to maximize return on investment. Let me say that again. The goal is not to maximize return on investment. You might hear that and go, whoa, I don't want to hire that person. Well, I would say, let's hold on a second. Here's why. Because if you want to hire someone just to maximize return, great. Go to a financial advisor, go to your neighbor, go to anyone you know and say, help me make as much money as possible. But that's really not why we're on earth. We are on earth to maximize our return on life. Of course we want to maximize our investments. Of course we want to not pay a dime more than we need to in taxes. Yes, we want to have the trust set up. Yes, we want insurance. We want to make sure that from a health perspective we are covered. Those are just givens. Those are just standards. Of course we need that. From a wedding perspective though, this is the fun of financial planning. What if I told you that if you saved and invested well, you'd have $3 million? Well, if we go through the planning process, we determine you have $2.5 or $3 or $4 million, you might look at that and go, wonderful, that makes me feel really, really good about my retirement. But I, as a fiduciary advisor, am going to come to you, assuming you're my client in this example, and say, John, Julie, just pretending that's your names, what if instead of dying with $3-4 million, yes, and by the way, John, Julie, I know a healthcare expense might come up. Let's have a separate account just set up for that to add peace of mind there. But what if you could fund your children's wedding expenses while you're here? Not when you eventually pass away. What good is the money then? Of course it's still good. It still goes to them. But can you do more, feel more while you're here? What I want you to do is optimize, maximize your return on life. And if that means I'm going to come to you and say, hey, John, Julie, this means that you can spend $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 on a wedding, you might say, Ari, I don't even have an intent. I don't even know how I would do that. Well, you could get an ice sculpture of yourself and your spouse. Okay, now we're getting a little weird. But that's the reality, is the goal of financial planning is to optimize your money. Understand how much you can spend. What is the max threshold? What is the minimum threshold? How much can you spend on a wedding so that when you go do that for your child, you feel good about it? The last thing you should be doing is eating dinner at your children's wedding, going, I don't know how this is going to impact my retirement plan. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you don't know, I am the host of the Early Retirement Podcast, and this is what I love doing. I help people create a custom strategy to retire early. You can always reach out to me or a member of our team here at Root, and we would be happy to walk you through our planning process to show you how we can help you get more life out of your money.